I'm Abby Huntsman, and you're in the Strategy Room. Dr. Ben Carson is a top contender in this year's presidential race. The retired neurosurgeon turned politician has connected with Republican primary voters by sharing his personal story. And now his wife, Candy, is out with a new book shedding light on her husband's journey. It's called A Doctor in the House, My Life with Ben Carson. And Candy Carson joins me now on set. It is so nice to have you here. I have to say, you just have such a great energy about you. So thank you for joining us.
Back at you, honey.
A lot to get to here, but
it's true.
Let's start with
the
journey so far in the campaign. Most people cannot say they've run for president before. This is not something that you guys have done before.
No.
How has it been so far?
It's a grueling schedule.
Yeah.
Every day a different hotel, packing every day. Sometimes you have to iron if you're in a hurry and you didn't quite pack them just so that the wrinkles wouldn't happen. But you know, what's neat, because a lot of times you're not getting enough sleep, but you know that's just part of the deal. Anyway, wherever we go, the people are wonderful. They care about this country. We all care about this country, and we don't want it to be worse for the next generation. So that's why people are coming up to us after he speaks and saying, you know, I hadn't voted in years and years, but I'm going to vote this time. And these are the people that don't get polled. So when the polls are saying one thing, we're hearing something else. So, you know, as long as God keeps driving us that way, we're going.
Yeah, and I want to ask you about that. And I'm sure you get asked it all the time because, you know, everyone is talking about the polls right now with Iowa being 3 weeks away.
Oh, wow, yeah.
And you see, you know, how much can change, but your husband was the guy to beat just a few weeks ago and has dropped in the polls, I think now to fourth place. Why do you think that is? Because you're saying you're hearing a different message on the ground there. Why do you think we've seen that drop in the polls recently?
But you know, well, see, polls are going to go up and down. So, you know, the one poll is the most important poll is the vote. So you run for the vote. Now, let's see, for the polls you were saying, they're historically, and I assume that they're still doing this, they will poll people who are most likely to vote, not the ones that we're seeing. So these people aren't even being counted. So that's why, I mean, you know, they've got their idea of what's going on, and they'll go to the people that they feel would vote, and so on and so forth. But there are people that are going to be voting that they weren't taking into consideration. So,
well, you guys have had to open up your lives to the public in a way you've probably never experienced before.
Yeah.
Has that been harder than you thought it would be, or are you surprised that you've been able to power through?
Well, it's hard. I mean, writing a book to show a different perspective of Ben and make sure that people have a much broader understanding of who he is and what our life has been like. It's hard because we've had challenges, just like everybody else has challenges. But we've had a lot of victories, too, and good things that have happened. I mean, when son number 2 came, he came very quickly. And Ben was there holding the baby in one hand, and he had the afterbirth in the other. And his mom and I are running up and down the stairs trying to find something to clip the placenta off, you know. Well, it had to be done, so, you know, you do what you have to do. And he's just there with the baby, so he couldn't do anything. But, you know, it worked out, and that was another victory. And little BJ's APGAR was 8 out of 10, so it was good. You know,
I mean, this is real life stuff.
Yeah.
And you guys are out there and you're talking about it, and there are a lot of people, regardless of what happens, that I think relate to the ups and the downs that you all have been through, and you guys are real.
Well, that's why it was written, too. I mean, at the time when he lost a tooth just before he was getting up to speak, he didn't take...
Lost a tooth?
A tooth, yeah. Eating his
That's
favorite
no
food. He was eating pizza at a dinner, and the tooth came out. It was one of the front ones, of course. And the thing of it was, you know, he had his teeth worked on. They had sent off for the permanents. The temps were in. But we couldn't get back because of obligations that he had made before. He didn't want to disappoint anyone. You know, people had, and this was with Washington Speakers Bureau, so these were paid engagements, and people were raising money. He didn't want to fink out on them, you know, because, you know, they've done all the publicity, they've done all their footwork and so on, so he didn't want to disappoint him. So he would go to these events, and then he couldn't get back to get his teeth done. So, you know, a few months down the road, you know, those are loose teeth. I mean, you know, they're temporaries. So it came out. So he gets up and he smiles, and he you know, tells a little joke, and he goes on, because what's more important, the message or the messenger? Those people came to hear a message. He was going to get the message done.
Talk to us about this book and you, and you open up so much about your marriage and about these ups and downs. And I mean, you are an incredibly impressive woman in your own right.
Thank you.
But the ups and the downs, the successes, the wealth, looking back at it now, I mean, what is the big takeaway? What is the thing that you want people to get from reading this book, to maybe relate to?
Well, I tell you, the thing I think they're going to relate to or appreciate the most was what I appreciate the most. I'm hoping that's what it is, because he spent more time at the hospital than he did at home. So I figured he had a medical family. So I wanted to interview them and get their perspectives, and I tell you, it was so eye-opening. Because, and I charge everyone, interview your spouse's co-workers, because you'll probably find out that they're better than you thought they were. Even better. I mean, there was just, the stories were amazing. One of them, oh dear, his boss and mentor, and he trained him, for 8 years. Ben was now chief of pediatric neurosurgery. Dr. Long is still chief of general pediatric, adult neurosurgery, and they're about to operate on the Siamese twins, the first set. So before they make the first cut, Ben hands the scalpel over to Dr. Long. Now, if Dr. Long makes that first cut, he gets credit for the whole thing. Ben had been working on this for months, and he had come up with the strategies and also the movements, because choreographing 70 people in an operating room, plus 2 patients because of Siamese twins, 2 patients, twice, all the equipment and all the people, all that. So did all that, and got the nurses. Actually, the nurses came up with wonderful drapes that once you pull them apart, they were accordion folded, but once you pull them apart, it wouldn't contaminate the field. I mean, everyone pulled together on this. So he's giving the scalpel over to Dr. Long. And through Dr. Long's mind, he's thinking, well, if I make the first cut, and I take credit for this, at my point in this career, if it goes south, then it won't bother my career, but it could hurt Ben. So he could do that to spare Ben. But then he's thinking, Ben's got the intestinal fortitude. He can take care of this himself. He handed it back. And he calls it the Carson test. He speaks about this around the world. Where are you going to do what's expedient for you or what's best for the patient?
Yeah. What a story.
Yeah, I mean, and they came up with these, each one of them came up with wonderful stories like this.
Well, it's so refreshing to read your book and to hear from you. And I know we've got to go, but I'm sure you've seen SNL and Jay Farrow and the impression he makes of your husband. Have you not?
No.
Well, you have to
I don't watch
out.
much TV
That's
because
probably
there's
smart.
not time.
Probably smart. Well, I was going to ask your thoughts on that, but it's probably smart to stay away from all
Yeah.
right now. But it's lovely having you here.
Well, it's great
and,
being here.
Good luck on the trail. A few weeks to go, and
Thank you so
we wish
much.
you all the luck. So, Candy Carson, thank you.
And thank you for what you do.
Thank you so much. And make sure you check out the book called A Doctor in the House, My Life with Ben Carson. You can check it out. I guess you can find it online or at the bookstore.
Yes, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million.
All over the place.
Sam's
And,
Club.
of course, for more on the 2016 presidential race, visit foxnews.com. I'm Abby Huntsman. Thanks for watching.